Okay, I think we're recording now. Welcome everyone. This is the Pod Management and VOLTHA CAPS Brigade. VOLTHA FCAPS Brigade. I dropped a letter there. We don't have, the only topic we have on the agenda so far is to discuss the redfish exporter, and I assume Ganesh will be discussing that. Ganesh, would you like presentation rights?
Yes, Scott. Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make you presenter. Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, great. Good morning, all. Regarding Kafka topic exporter, I have some updates. Basically, last week I have gone through the code, and also, as I spoke last time, there are some observations we have, and also we want to basically integrate the redfish topic for hardware management information. So the observations I have shared already. So there are a couple of points I wanted to, find. I mean, the decision or the, inputs or the thoughts from everybody. So what I have understood on the exporter, existing exporter. So we have already an exporter written. There are a couple of things. One is the topic management. So basically, let me just open this this particular diagram. Here we can see the exporter is actually pulling data from the various Kafka topics. So in this case, let's say VOLTHA.kpis and onos.kpis. So currently the exporter is designed to work with these two topics, VOLTHA.kpis and onos.kpis. So those are kind of hard-coded topic names. And then to proceed to add something more. For example, if I want to add another topic for hardware information or the SFP related information, which is pushed from the importer. So we have to enhance this exporter to support the additional topics. So here in this diagram, I have, I'm thinking to expand this for supporting multiple topics. So currently VOLTHA KPIs and onos KPIs, these are the two. And I have, let's say, topic X, topic Y, or any number of topics for that matter. Currently, exporter doesn't directly support this. So we need to add functionality. So here what I'm thinking is to have this configurable so that let's say topic X wants to, or the exporter wants to pull data from X or Y. So exporter should be able to get this data as well. So that's the enhancement. And in the configuration, as I mentioned here in the first point, Kafka topic management. So where I'm thinking about how we can make this topic management as a configurable one. So the configuration file, what I have thought about is brokerconf.json. So in this file, if I provide the broker information along with the topics, we can configure here. In this case, let's say VOLTHA.kpis and onos.kpis, which is already supported. And if I provide any additional topics, so our exporter should be able to understand the new topics introduced, and it should take those topics in effect.
So are we ensures that you can, oh, go ahead, David.
Yes, please.
That ensures that you can listen to and upload topics, but what about message formats? How's that going to affect this?
Yes, yeah, I'm coming to that part. Basically, let's say if the new topic is getting introduced, the Kafka exporter in the listeners, there are multiple routines for listening on each topic. So we have right now, again, there's a little bit modification on the listener side where these listener routines are spawned based on the topics. And if I have any new topic with any new format, and I'm assuming there will be only JSON data, right? So any new JSON format comes up, so we have to handle, we have to have that additional data structure, or dynamically we should be able to load that the new format of the message as well.
So are you seeing this as a single process, or are you
Uh,
seeing, I mean, why not a separate process for each topic, for instance, and then you can scale up?
Exactly. So, so for each topic, there is a separate listener. That is the routine. It's like a
Okay.
thread. Yeah. So for
Well, no, it's
every
like a thread. It's like a thread, or it's a process. There's a difference. And the question is, if I do it as a separate process, for example, for each topic, then if I want more listeners for VOLTHA KPIs, I can just spin up more of these containers or whatever processes they are. If it's a thread, then you're talking about a single process with configuration, tweaking that, which might take a restart to, so there's a very different management here, depending if you're doing it per process or per thread.
Okay, so do you mean we should have separate processes, or?
I'm not sure that's a definite yes or no. I think it might be interesting to think about each of these
Okay.
listeners are a separate process, and then I can scale them up independently and
Okay.
use the OS kind of as that scaling factor, as opposed to
Okay.
your own thread management.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, got it. So yes, currently there are Go routines created for each topic. Right. So we can keep it as it is, just that we need to dynamically create based on number of topics instead of the fixed number of routines.
Yeah, I think if you have a way to bind certain routines to certain topics, I don't know if there's a way to dynamically do that. To say that VOLTHA.KPIs goes with code routine transformer X, and ONOS.KPIs goes with transformer Z or something like that. If we wanted to have multiple processes, then it would just mean spinning up containers with different config files. You could always take this config file and just list, one topic in it, and then list one topic in another config file and bring up another container. That was my thought.
It also potentially means that if I add a new format of the message, I don't have to recompile the code and restart everything. I just have to come up with a new binary for that new topic and start it up, right?
Yes, exactly. So watcher can watch onto the changes there in the configuration file, and if there is any change it found, it can spawn the new process for this to bind with the topic, the added topic. So we don't have to actually build the exporter for every change.
Although the config file for topics and what containers or what process, I mean, again, if they're containers, the config file could be just as easily, a Kubernetes pod specification, right? There's not necessarily a config file that has to watch.
Yes. So basically, for now, this listeners, I thought of, I did not thought of putting them on the separate pods, but yes, that is a good point. I can just think on that side as well. And similarly for the exporters to pass on to the target. So we might have, for now it is Prometheus. So we can have different exporters.
Yeah, do we have any thoughts yet on what else we would export other than Prometheus at this point? Is there a proposal of something someone else wants exported to? Or just making it pluggable so that when the need arises, we can do that?
Yes, in the initial discussion, we had some time. Someone was specifying that the exporter might want to, it might go to Prometheus, or it might go to, let's say, Elasticsearch, or another Kafka bus. So those were the thoughts. So that is the point we are thinking about, having this exporters distributed, so that in future it can be scaled to whatever target we might have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So any thought on the watcher, or one more thing I want is I mean, just now Scott was saying, or I think David, right? So these listeners, should we have this a separate process which might run on any pod anywhere, or it should be it should run on the single pod because in that case we might have to have this configuration as a under Kubernetes configuration, right? So the current exporter is right now it deals with only two topics, olta.kpis and onos.kpis. So the third topic right now we need is about the importer data to read from and pass on to Prometheus. So basically that is the requirement, the point number 3 here. And as we were talking about topic management, configurable, and the second point was about logger integration. So logger integration, currently there is no logging mechanism in the exporter. We do print some information there, but we can have this some logger integrated. So as we talked last time, the logger suggested is BBSIM logger, similar logger we can have. So exactly same we can use, but there is some change I think we need, because the logger in BBSIM push the logs to the Kafka. Here we don't want to push, we want to just have it in the log file, right, Scott?
I think we would also like to be able to push the logs to Kafka as well. So our thought was that every component can push its logs to Kafka, and then they will go from Kafka into Elasticsearch. So that way you can find all of the logs for a pod all in one place, and you can query it and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like the design point, if possible, of any component being able to not only push its logs someplace else like Kafka, but also to store them locally as an option, in case Kafka is not available or Kafka is down. I think it's nice not to
You
have
see that
no
as a
other way
local cache?
Say again, David?
You see that as a local cache until Kafka's back up? Or do you see, I mean, because the problem is the minute they start storing them locally, you have to deal with file storage.
Yeah, so like
And
what we've done with XOS is I think they get sent on standard out, and then Kubernetes puts them in its rotating log. I assume Kubernetes discards them after, when they get to a certain size. I think that's built into Kubernetes and Docker. But yeah, what we would do in XOS is just write them to the console, where Kubernetes gets them, and then also send them to Kafka. But either approach, David, I think your approach of just caching them until Kafka can eat them up would be fine.
I mean, I like going to the console as an option, but yeah, if you're looking to also publish them via Kafka, and something's going to have to sit there and say, oh, I haven't been able to get to Kafka, let me queue it up and deal with all that.
Okay, yeah, fine. Anybody has anything else? Any thoughts? Now we are on the last point for about the target management. I'm yet to explore this part. Now my focus, I'm thinking about to start with logger integration and then Kafka topic management.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Uh, okay, and Scott or David, is there any suggestion on the log on the config file or the watcher process? Or the polling mechanism, if we have currently, if there is any change in the file based on file timestamp, I thought of polling the data periodically.
Sorry, you thought of doing what if there's a change in the timestamp?
The watcher will pull the data from the config file. It's not one time loaded. Instead of loading at once, if there is any change on a periodic basis, it will look into the file, and if there is any change, it will again load into the data structure without actually need to restart the process.
Yeah, so when I've implemented these sort of things, I haven't viewed restart of a process like this as a huge thing. You know, I've been a lot of my approaches will be just to let whomever update the config file and then restart the container.
Okay.
Internal restart, you're right. It's, you know, less latency. It's so I guess I'm viewing that as a, you know, a performance optimization on being able to restart by restarting the container. As long as we support restarting the container as a baseline, you know, that covers the approaches where the container crashes and we need to restart, or someone wants to, you know, take it down and bring a new one up with a version update or something like that. But yeah, I think on top of that, watching the config file as an optimization for quicker restarts is fine.
The question is, where's the config file going to be? Again, if these are containers, is this going to be a mounted config file? Is this going to be a config, whatever Kubernetes thing is for configs, right? What is this configuration actually going to be?
This is the watches.
Yeah, but I was thinking config map. Sorry.
This is going to be config file for the watcher.
Right, but okay, let's say the watcher is a container.
Yeah.
Where's this file going to be?
Yeah, I think what David's getting at is a common pattern is to push the file in with Kubernetes as a config map. So in your Helm charts, you specify, you know, where it gets the config file contents from. Perhaps, you know, building it from values in the Helm chart. It gets pushed into the container via Kubernetes config map mechanism, and then it shows up as a file inside your container.
Okay. Right, but how does that get changed, I guess is the question. I'm not sure you're going to get the same timestamp file change characteristics you're expecting if you're reading a file off the file system. You may, I just don't know.
Yeah, I have done that in Kubernetes before, where I have changed a config map and had it show up as a file change inside of a container. I don't know that I ever found someplace where I was told that those semantics were sort of guaranteed, but that's what I observed happen.
Okay.
But I think, again, that fits with, you know, as a base case, restarting the container is always an option, and then you're always ensured of getting the new config file pushed in.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But just again, I think my main thought here is just, if we're going to do these as containers, be aware there's some differences, and the config file, if it's coming in by a config map, we need to make sure it works with that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like any examples on config map utilization in other components, just let me know, and I can find you you know, a snippet of Helm chart or something where we do this in another component.
Yeah, that will be great. Yeah, if I mean, I have to check if there is any similar, but if somebody has, if they can share that, yeah, we can go through.
Anyway, this all looks really good. Did you have more to present on it?
No, Scott, we are done. Basically, this is the one I was thinking to share with everybody.
I have one question. I have one question. Is there config file existing right now, or you are adding it? Do we use for VOLTHA KPIs or ONOS KPIs?
No, Dinesh, it is not existing one. This is the new one we are thinking to add. Currently, those topics are hard coded in the code itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Dinesh, Ganesh, I think we should synchronize our efforts so that we can test the same functionality coming from the our important.
Yes. Yeah, and I think Jason was supposed to send me the sample data for the importer from the importer, so that will help me to
Right.
work with the point number 3 here to integrate the new topic.
He already put together the documentation. I saw the email last night. Dinesh, can you do a quick review and sync up with Jason and send the documentation to Ganesh?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dinesh. Okay, so that's the update from me, and I will continue. I have created separate Jira items in Jira stories in the Jira. So this topic management logger and Redfish integration, we have 3 Jira right now. For the target management, I need to do a little bit investigate the code, and then I'll create another.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks for tracking the stuff in Jira for us.
Yes.
So, do we have any other status on the SFP related data? Is OnCar, is that going well?
Yeah. Hi, Scott. Basically, the update I want to give you is I have set up the dev environment and I have gone through the test action related format. So currently what I have done is I started a little bit coding on it. So basically I have basically checked the OMCI gate routine flow, and the same way I'm just trying to do the OMCI test action implementation. So I have added some code in OMCI messages.py file, basically added the entity related information in that. I have created a separate file called OMCI test request, where this file is responsible for invoking the test action related stuff. After that, I have added OMCI frames in OMCI frame.py. This file is responsible for creating the packet structure by using FCAPS in Python. And finally, I have written some test function which would support test action call in meframe.py. So basically, I'm just doing some little bit code part of it. Maybe in like 2 or 3 days of time, I'll basically start some testing and everything on it.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So everything you're doing is consistent with the existing approaches with how we're dealing with OMCI messages, it sounds.
Yes. If I needed any help, I'll definitely ping you on Slack so that we can get to know immediate solution.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you for that update.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about?
I have created various epic for and stories under that for importer on the Jira.
Okay, great.
So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, perhaps next meeting we'll spend a little bit of time going through stories as well, and making sure that we've got all of those assigned the way we'd like them to be assigned and partitioned and such. So I'll plan on doing a little review of those myself during the week, and maybe we can talk about them and kind of do a sort of JIRA story review every few meetings.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if there's nothing else, I suppose we could adjourn. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We've managed to conclude in half an hour. It will give us some time back. Thanks for the progress, and thanks for the status updates.
All right. Bye.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Scott. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thanks.